I tried to come out here really fast so you would not applaud for me, but thank you. I appreciate it. Welcome to our final concert of the year with the WSU Bands program. This is our symphonic band, as your program so wonderfully says. I'm Dr. Timothy Shade, but there's nothing better for me as a teacher of conducting than to have our wonderful graduate student conductor start. So how about a hand for Matt Romy, who led us on that first tune? And if you're unfamiliar with Pierre LaPlante, he was a wonderful champion of music for wind bands, and he loved folk tunes. He's a big proponent of those, and I'm a huge fan of that Prairie songs. If you want to know a little bit more about all of our pieces, on the backside of your program there is a QR code. That's why I have my cell phone with me. Feel free to go ahead and grab that QR code, and you'll have our digital program that has a little bit more information about everything that we're playing tonight. It lets you sort of behind the scenes a little bit more. This next piece, Frank Ticheli's Amazing Grace, a wonderful setting of the traditional hymn tune that I'm sure you'll recognize. And once again, I'm thrilled that I get to introduce another one of our graduate conductors to lead this next one. Please welcome Tyrese Mendez to conduct Amazing Grace. real quickly, how about a hand for Gemma on saxophone right there? Stand up, Gemma. So Vincent Persichetti, a name that may not be familiar to a lot of us. He was a champion of repertoire for winds, but a while ago. In fact, if you can see, a lot of the students are playing off of copies, but the paper is like old and yellow. And some of the students were looking at me rather dubiously when we first passed this piece out. They were like, seriously, guy, you're making me play this really old stuff. And I said, well, what you don't know about Persichetti is that everything in Persichetti is built upon humor and sort of allegory. This is a guy that used to compose while driving his car. And I'm not kidding. There's a video, a documentary of him driving, and I don't know how he was balancing the wheel other than with his legs, and he's writing with manuscript. I mean, he's the quirkiest character in the world. So you're going to hear at the opening, right? It's going to be this really sort of it's a two-part piece. Starts slow and then goes fast, and you're going to hear a motive in the horn, which is really the building blocks of the whole piece. And you're going to go, oh, this is really serious. This is very serious. It's not. The whole thing is designed to be fun and energetic, and all the little quirky things that you hear in the louder music is all designed to be funny. So you'll hear big outbursts and then really sort of changes that happen relatively quickly. And so this music has a bandy quality to me. I don't know what else to call it, sort of a bombastic element to it. But I am a huge fan of Persichetti. He wrote a wonderful symphony. This was his third piece that he ever wrote called Pageant. So hopefully you find some excitement and enjoyment as I do. Maybe I'm just an old soul, who knows? But here is Pageant. One of the other sort of best parts of being a conductor is fostering and nurturing the creation of new music. And I'm lucky that I have a lot of wonderful friends and colleagues that wish to write for ensembles and ensembles that I work with, which is really phenomenal. So you'll see my name listed next to this next piece, but I'm not the composer, but the composer is with us. Please welcome to the stage Joel Boettger.
Good evening. In every life, there are people who affect or alter your path for the better. Ben Harder, my high school friend, is one of those people. And as a freshman in high school, Ben gave me his family's entire jazz record collection because I was in the jazz band with him and I was not good. And he told me to check these records out, which I did sort of religiously. I was on MSN Messenger, because that was a thing a long time ago, and I was listening to Duke Ellington and Count Basie and Quincy Jones, and that really changed the course of my life. It catapulted my ears far beyond what I thought was possible and really opened up my world, making what I do now possible. So I was really happy when Ben Harder called me last fall and asked if I would write a piece for his high school band in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Ben and I are super lucky to have shared many band concerts and jazz band concerts at Heston High School, where we grew up, and also at Bethel College, where we met this guy over here. And through those musical experiences, we have dealt with many teachers who have altered our path, and Dr. Timothy Shade is one of those people as well. It's difficult for me to express my gratitude for having met Ben and Dr. Timothy Shade. And Ben asked me to write this piece about what the band room meant as a high schooler. So sometimes when it's been a long time since I've been in high school, but when we walk in, maybe we're grumpy or we're angry or something is not going well in our life. And he wanted it to be about commonality and the things that link us together. And so in thinking about that and putting those ideas into the piece, this is a little narrative I came up with about what it means to be in a band and how important that is as we're growing up. We all succeed, struggle, and grow together. Though we may feel disconnected, we are bound by our collective path and defined by our ability or our inability to care and support each other. Every good band does this. As musicians, we cannot achieve our desired outcome without caring for our peers. We must use this common link, the things that bond us together, to build a culture that allows for collective success and personal expression simultaneously. We must support our fellow bandmates, creating a web of trust and openness and accountability where we can learn to be vulnerable together. This web is our strength, and it is the only way we can move forward toward a better future. Please enjoy A Link Between.
If you've come to any of my concerts, you might catch a trend. I don't perform a lot of marches. There's a reason for that. I don't like them. And you might go, how can you be a band director and not like marches? I don't dislike marches. I say that to be provocative, okay? I spent a lot of time in the back row as a euphonium player playing marches. Notice how I said that, marches. It was like what I grew up on. And at a certain point, it was like, I've had enough. However, marches are great. They're great pieces of music. They're exciting, they have wonderful techniques in them, and they're really inventive if you pay attention to the little techniques that the composers use. So I like them. I'm being dramatic. Okay, bear with me. So the use of the march, in this case on our concert, is because it's a little couplet. So you're gonna hear Fairest of the Fair, which is one of my favorite Sousa marches. And it's gonna have music in it that Andy Boysen in Fantasy on a Theme by Sousa. Are you awake out there? Fantasy on a Theme by Sousa. Fairest of the Fair is written by Sousa. Oh, fine, just listen to the march. I'll be back. Prepare to march. So we're paying attention. We're following the storyline now. The next piece is called Fantasy on a Theme by Sousa. Sousa March, right? So Andy Boysen, wonderful composer. He's been at the University of New Hampshire for a long time. And you're gonna see him use a lot of the themes from this wonderful Sousa March to create a more fleshed out piece. And I usually do it as a couplet, but I thought it'd be funnier if I did a little shtick with it, so there you go. Thank you so much for being here and supporting the band program and all of our concerts on campus and these wonderful students. They're my heart. I tell them I love them all the time. Hopefully they know I mean it. I really do. To watch sort of our growth as an ensemble from the beginning of the year to now is really exceptional, and how they trust each other and how they express music and how they relate to each other is really what is the joy in all of this, aside from just playing. So thank you. Some of them will not be back next year, and I don't like saying goodbyes. I warned them, so I'm not going to have them stand because I get real weepy. But if we could have a round of applause for those students in this ensemble, pretty please. And this last piece, yet again, Andy Boysen's Fantasy on a Theme by Sousa, has a wonderful, joyful ending, and I figured it would be a great way for us to end our season. Once again, thank you for being here, and please enjoy.
begin. I'm sorry to begin.